Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, energized by Celsius. It is a Monday edition of the show, and dreadful isn't the right word because there's still a long way to go this season. But a lot of Bucs fans are down bad right now because the Bucs are coming off a brutal 20-18 loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers, where the Bucs were heavy favorites against the Steelers from the Steel City. And because of that, we spoke to Todd Bowles today, and he was absolutely grilled, but rightfully so. We'll get into all of that today. I'm your host, Matt Matera. We have two guests on today, my fellow colleagues from PewterReport.com, the face that runs the place at Pewter Report, SR Scott Reynolds, and Josh Capo, my buddy that jumps on for the Pewter Tailgate show the last half hour before we get it rocking and rolling. Josh was kind enough to join us today. So, gentlemen, 24 hours later, a little bit more than that, but 24 hours later, Scott, how are we feeling after witnessing the debacle that was the Bucs faltering to the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Same, Matt. Get rid of Byron Leftwich and Goedeke. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have any confidence that this offense is going to get much better. I really don't. I mean, until if and when Ryan Jensen comes back, then I think the offensive line improves a little bit. I think right now, Luke Goedeke's trial by fire is burning him. And I understand the logic out there in that he's not going to get better standing on the sidelines. He's got to get some playing time. He's been through the ringer for 6 weeks, and it's not all bad, but when it is bad, it's painful because it's happening. He's giving up sacks on third downs. He's getting submarined, right? Low man wins. I mean, on the 3rd and 1, the quarterback sneak, you saw Cam Hayward, old man Cam Hayward, 33 years old, like diving under the rookie and stopping that quarterback sneak, which I know Buccaneer fans have been calling for. Why isn't Brady running the quarterback sneak? Well, I'll tell you why. He's 45 years old. He's got an injured ring finger. That's his throwing hand. He's got an injured shoulder. And the 3 guys that he was so successful in running behind in terms of those quarterback sneaks, you got a 6'6", 325-pound right guard Alex Kappa. You had a Pro Bowl center Ryan Jensen, who's about 15, 20 pounds heavier than Robert Hainsey. And then you've got a Pro Bowl left guard in Ali Marpet, who was strong, physical, agile at that left guard spot. And so now you've got Shaq Mason, who's maybe 6'1", 305, 310. You've got Robert Hainsey, and then you've got Luke Goedeke. And I don't blame Byron Leftwich and Tom Brady for not wanting to run the quarterback sneak because I don't like any of those options. They tried to run it. They got stuffed. So I don't know. I just think at this point in time, Goedeke is probably not going to get much better in terms of his consistency, in terms of his confidence. I think he's been through the ringer. I'd like to see Brandon Walton in there or Nick Leverett, and just to see if there is a difference. And if there's not, go back to Goedeke, but give him a week off. Let's see what happens.
You don't blame Byron Leftwich for not running the QB sneaks. You just blame him for everything else, right?
Oh, no, I blame him for running the quarterback sneak. Yeah, it wasn't going to work. But what I'm saying is I wasn't one of those people calling for it.
Right, I know.
Because I saw the options he had, Tom had to run behind, and I don't blame Tom for saying,
I mean, I'm on a very similar plane to you, Scott. Yeah. I will try to be the optimist here when it comes to Goedeke. As you mentioned, it has been trial by fire. However, the next 4 out of 5 weeks put him up against much more pedestrian interior rushes.
That's going to be a test, Josh. If he performs better, not going up against a Cam Hayward, a right. Grady Jarrett, a Chris Jones, right? Even the guys he faced earlier in the year. I mean, Kenny Clark with Green Bay, and Iggy. Or Osa Adigizua
right.
for the Cowboys. Easy for me to say. Pretty decent. He's turned into a pretty decent tackle. So he's had a stretch here of some really, really good defensive tackles he's gone against. But the problem is The plays he's given up have been critical plays, third down plays, in the red zone plays, third and short plays. So it's not even like when he's losing, it's a first down play and they can recover from that. These are
he's
critical
on those too.
Yes, but when he's losing, it's magnified because it's taking away 4 points, right? When you're down there inside the 10-yard line and he gives up a sack, now all of a sudden it's a field goal rather than a touchdown, and it's just it's big. And I just want to see if Brandon Walton or Nick Leverett could be better, right? Now I'm not one of the offensive line coaches, but I'm just saying I'd like to see. I thought Brandon Walton, played okay at guard in camp. They actually put him out there at tackle for the Saints game, and I didn't think he played that bad. So I don't know. I'd like to see Brandon Walton get a shot, and we'll see what happens. But the coaches know better than I.
Yeah, like I said, I'm on the same plane with you in terms of for me with Goedeke, I didn't expect him to play average. I did expect him to be below average. But the hope was that you would see progress week over week over week, even playing against this extremely impressive run of defensive tackles. And I keep thinking to myself, there's been this narrative in the NFL recently of there just aren't a lot of good interior defensive tackles. Luke Goedeke would probably argue the other side of that right now because he seems to have found every single one of them. The NFL schedule makers seem to be out to get him this year. But for me, there just hasn't been, you haven't seen one part of his game where you can say, okay, there's improvement week over week. Like his anchor isn't improving. His strike timing isn't improving. His hand placement isn't improving. He's not reducing the amount of lean. All of it's just as bad week over week, if not worse. Like I said, the one saving grace is that I want to say over the next 4 to 5 weeks, it gets a little bit easier. With the Panthers, you have Derek Brown, who for the majority of his career thus far has been more name than substance, although he's having a fantastic year this year. Of course, he would with the Goedeke coming up. But with the lack of progress, I'm in the same camp as you in terms of I'd like to see Brandon Walton or Nick Leverett get some reps there. And then I'm with you on the Byron Leftwich. It's bad. And it's very similar to kind of what you just said in terms of Goedeke. It's at its worst in the most critical times. I know a lot of people say third down's your most critical down. I'm very much don't put yourself in a bad situation in third down by winning first and second. They're constantly losing first down. And then when they got into the red zone, the play calling was just how you can be first and goal and not run any type of plays to try and take advantage of a lack of communication in the Pittsburgh secondary is beyond me. There was no rub routes. There was no whip routes. There was nothing.
Just throw the fade to Mike Evans.
You could do that.
That seems to work pretty well.
But I mean, it was like straight hitches. Everybody just run 5 yards up, turn around, and Brady's going to hit you. There was nothing that forced the defense to really communicate with each other. It was very, I use this word a lot on our podcast, and I don't know why, because I don't use it very much in my regular life, but it was uninspiring.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, I mean, when I went back and looked at some of the play calls, haven't seen the all 22 yet, but a couple of those calls that really were baffling to me was on the second and goal from the what was about the 1 foot line. Why Byron Leftwich decided to pull the play side guard, which was Luke Goedeke. Right. And if you're going to pull a guard around the goal line, make it the backside guard where if you're fine pulling Shaq Mason from right to left, right. And getting numbers on the left side of the line. But why you're pulling the play side guard, who's a rookie, Luke Goedeke, and you're asking your starting center, who is in his 6th NFL start, to cut block there. And he had to cut block Larry Ogunjobi, who basically just hurdled him or jumped over him when he wasn't able to get the cut block thrown properly. It just creates a massive hole. If it's not executed perfectly, it creates a massive hole. In my opinion, you're much better served instead of pulling guys and trying to create holes, get a hat on the hat all the way across the board, turn around and hand the ball off to Leonard Fournette and say, Leonard, you have 1 second, and we all know Leonard doesn't have the best vision. Like, we get that, but I would trust Leonard to instinctively say, hey, we've got 1 foot to get, and we're going to go and find the guy that has 1 foot that he can push a guy into the end zone and score. And in my opinion, I just don't understand why they just didn't go straight ahead into the line of scrimmage with a big 240-pound back and just burrow in there and get 1 foot. We're not talking 2 yards. We're talking 1 foot.
Right. They're trying to get fancy all of a sudden when it was like absolutely unnecessary and uncalled for. Because you know what?
Yeah.
They struggled the whole game in the red zone. So you don't try to get cute once you're finally down there. So I don't know why they decided to get all fancy with that. And to go back to Goedeke real quick, what happened to that glass eater nickname and that mentality that he brought coming in here? What happened to the guy that was getting chippy at some of the training camp practices and the joint practices? I don't know if it's because like now he's had his welcome to the NFL moment, but I almost want to see him get in a brawl next week. Show a little bit of
I think
attitude.
it's a confidence issue. I think,
I think he's lost his
getting
confidence.
whipped. He knows it, and he's hanging on. I mean, he's treading water. He's not swimming. He may not be drowning like every single snap out there, but the guy is treading water. He's getting beaten with speed. He's getting beaten with power. The timing of his hand placement is off. I literally don't think he's that great of an athlete. And if you go back and look, he didn't do any combine testing. There's no pro day testing outside of bench press. I don't know how athletic he is. I know that some of the internet scouts have looked at his tape and said, he's athletic. Okay, maybe he's an athletic right tackle in the MAC, but I don't see.
I'll push back on that one.
I don't see the athleticism. He's certainly not Ali Marpet. He's certainly not Shaq Mason. And is he on par with Alex Kappa? I don't know. Kappa was a pretty athletic left tackle at Humboldt State, which is why he got invited to the Senior Bowl, which is why he got drafted in the 3rd round. So I don't know. It's certainly not showing up. That's what I'm saying.
I'll say you see the athleticism when he does pull, and you'll see it when he gets to the 2nd level. He can move. Like, it's there. He's not ready. And that's why, like coming out, like, I saw him as more of a 4th rounder, a guy who is going to need some development. You don't start him right away. He needs to develop. He needs to learn the position. He needs to develop a little bit more athletically. But I think that the traits were there and are there. He's been thrown into the fire a little too quickly. The other one, in terms of the goal line, just kind of going back to that, when they had 1st and goal at the 4, a little bit later in the game, they ran. They set up. It was one of the rare times where they showed they were going to run, and they actually passed out of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the entire team knew it.
No.
Like, I've watched that play 4 or 5 times.
I don't know what's happening on that.
Yeah, it was play action, and Lenny doesn't really get to the flat. None of the tight ends move off their blocks, and they end up with an illegal man downfield.
Yeah,
it's
Tristan Wirfs.
Donovan's,
Right tackle Tristan Wirfs. He's like in the end zone.
It's almost like it was supposed to be a run play, or at least the entire team except Brady thought it was, and he just pulled the ball back, and then he's looking for somebody, and everybody's like, "What do we do?"
Yeah.
So I just some of that, the uninspired play, and yes, absolutely Goedeke. Like, these are the 2 major issues. And I'm just going to throw this out there because I've seen it all over Twitter and I've been attacked about it on Twitter. It's not Brady. Brady is not the issue. He is so far down the list of issues on this offense. It's ridiculous.
Here's the scary thing to me. We all kind of agreed that this is going to be Tom Brady's last year in Tampa for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, why would
he
he
go to San Fran?
Why would he come back to this? Right? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. It's bad right now, and I hope to God there's a different play caller next year. There will be a different quarterback. I hope that they clean house with some of these receivers and add somebody that can actually make a play with the ball in their hands. Russell Gage is not it. Jalen Darden is not it. Scotty Miller is not it. Brashard Perriman is not it. Get another receiver. This is a wide receiver driven offense. So you need to get another receiver that can make some plays. Mike and Chris, they're not going to play all 17 games every season. They just won't. They get banged up. But this is with Tom Brady. They're averaging 20 points per game with Tom Brady. If they did not have Tom Brady, if they had Blaine Gabbert, right, he of cutting off the mullet, which honestly, I'm going to suggest that maybe that's part of the malaise on offense. The fact that Blaine doesn't have his mullet. I'm not saying that's the reason why, but I'm not ruling it out. But Kyle Trask, Tom Brady, if they're the quarterback, how many points are these Buccaneers scoring? 14? 13? Think about it. You got Chris Godwin, you got Mike Evans, you got Leonard Fournette, who's an average to above average running back. Is the cupboard full? No, but the cupboard isn't bare. There's a lot of teams that would like to have 2 1,000-yard wide receivers. Okay, and you got Tom Brady, and I know that the offensive line is key. Brady's got to be upright to throw the ball. I get all that, but my God, man, like if you can't put up 23, 24, 26 points per game right now, it has to be the play calling, in my opinion. And I know that there's a screw up here and a screw up there. And that's one thing Bowles said today was it's literally one player screwing up in every play. And I get that. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, at the end of the day, that has to fall on the shoulders of the offensive coordinator. That's your job to coordinate the offense. And that means get the right players in the right position to make the right plays at the right time with the right play call. And it's not happening.
And it just feels like, too, even like Mike Evans wasn't a factor in yesterday's game, despite the fact that he had 4 receptions. Like, he didn't really have his imprint on the game. But even when he was making a catch, or Chris Godwin was making a catch, or Leonard Fournette, all these guys, like, there's always a defender right on them. Yeah, we will get to roll call momentarily. But there always is, like, a defender right on. No one's ever, having 3 or 4 yards of separation. I know Mike Evans can get it, and I know Chris Godwin can get it. So it comes down to the play calling, the schemes, also the fact that the offensive line can't block for more than 4 seconds. So Brady just dumps it off like right away because he's, he doesn't want to get hit. And I don't blame him. But in all these other offenses that the Bucs play against, we see guys, whether they're beating a zone, whether it's a good play call, we see guys open, making catches with defenders a couple of yards away from them. But for the Bucs, Mike Evans, the defender's right on him like glue, like white on rice, whatever you want to say. There's no, it's like, it's all, they say like you got to fight for every yard. The Bucs really are. They're not making it easy.
There's nothing easy
at all. There's nothing easy.
To your point, Matt, the K. Dotton catch, great throw, phenomenal throw, great catch, but like the defender was draped all over him. Chris Godwin, great. Josh, you even tweeted that out. It was in your Brady story, right? I mean, fantastic throw by Brady to Chris Godwin. He's essentially double covered. Okay, so there's no yards after catch. So it's a problem. There's nothing really designed or executed that gets these guys on the move with the ball in their hands.
Their only yak stuff is tunnel screens or that's really about it. That's it. Wide receiver screens are the only things that they've got in the offense right now designed to do that. And they've got to find some ways to get some easier catches. I had a theory. I know you said it's Blaine Gabbert's cutting off his hair. My theory is that maybe it's their hydration methods. And I think Matt may know a good way for them to hydrate in order to succeed.
Well done, Josh. Well done. If you're going to hydrate with anything, say you got a big workout coming up, or maybe you're just busy or trying to get back in shape like myself, you best be drinking a Celsius energy drink, which of course is the presenting sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast. So many different flavors, which are absolutely awesome. As you see, the Arctic vibe, tropical vibe, and peach vibe right there. The vibes are always very high on this show, even if the Bucs play like they did on Sunday. Also, a lot of other great flavors. The cola, the orange, the peach mango, the watermelon. So a ton of great flavors there. 7 essential vitamins. It's the healthy version of an energy drink, and it gives you that essential energy to get through your day. Go to the Celsius store locator on their website. Find out where you can get a Celsius near you. I'm lucky enough, I can go right across the street and get one right now if I wanted to, but I'm doing this podcast. I'm very happy to be doing this podcast, maybe after the show. Anyway, I digress. Go to that store locator, find out where you can get one at your local, Walmart, gas station, Target, convenience store, bodega. Yeah, that's right. Or if you want it sent right to your house or apartment, that's cool too. You could save some money on Amazon I would recommend getting the variety pack, because variety is the spice of life, of course, and have it set to your place of residence every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever you want. It. Just make sure you're drinking Celsius energy drinks. That is Celsius, #live fit. I also think it's right about that time that we get into roll call. I'm happy to go on a rant if we want to. I want to talk a little bit about, the Tom Brady, the whole wedding fiasco.
Let's talk about that, Matt. Well done. Roll call. Where are you at, Pewter people? So as Matt goes on this rant that I know Josh and I can't wait to hear, I'm going to be putting up your locations. So if you're watching or listening to the show from the state of Florida, if you're watching or listening from America or outside of America, we want to hear from you guys. So here we go.
Atlanta.
Okay. So obviously there's been a lot of different storylines all over the place with the Bucs, and a lot of them are centered around Tom Brady, for better or for worse. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. So anything that he does is going to, end up becoming news. Obviously, the big story was on Friday. He went to Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots. He went to Robert Kraft's surprise wedding on Friday, which I don't understand. Like, what is a surprise wedding? Is he like, hey, honey, we're getting married today? Like, just so you know, surprise. I didn't understand that, too. If you're a football owner, why are you getting married in football season? I get it was a Friday and there's no games, but I thought that was a bit odd. Anyway, so
Brady it might be a thing where Robert Kraft's not going to live long. So
I guess.
Yeah, maybe he's looking at this like, I may not make it to January or February.
Yeah,
but,
I guess. Do it now. I guess there could be a point to that. But anyway, so Brady, who, by the way, practiced all week. I know Wednesday is his, dedicated off day. He's been practicing on Wednesdays. He practiced all week. He was at practice on Friday. Then he goes to the wedding on Friday night. Wasn't there for walkthroughs on Saturday, but was with the team later on Saturday in Pittsburgh before the game on Sunday. And a lot of people are pointing to Tom Brady being at that wedding and saying, like, that's the reason why the Bucs lost. No. The terrible play calling is why the Bucs lost. The inefficiency in the red zone by everyone, not just Tom Brady, is why the Bucs lost.
Yeah.
The defense being unable to get stops on 3rd and 14, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 16, and 3rd and 11 is the reason why they lost. I understand it's Tom Brady and he's a very polarizing guy. I really don't want to hear, he's not all in. He's literally leaving his marriage to continue to play football. So I understand, sure, there's the drama that he left the team for 11 days. Now he's going to this wedding. Whatever happened to, let the guy have a little bit of a personal life. Unless Tom Brady got blackout drunk at the Robert Kraft wedding and was so hungover for the next 2 days.
On avocado tequila.
On avocado tequila. And it affected his play on Sunday. I don't think that the fact that Tom Brady was at a wedding on Friday night is a huge reason why the Bucs lost. I was at practice on Friday. Tom Brady was there. He was hopping and skipping and getting ready to go, probably because he's going to a wedding later. But I don't look at the optics of Brady going to a wedding of someone that he has a great relationship with, seeing old teammates. I don't see that as being like the end of the world, huge reason why the Bucs lost that game. I understand why it's, tabloid and gossip columns, but the Bucs have a lot more problems than Tom Brady not being at a walkthrough on a Saturday.
Yeah, so. I agree. Josh, do you agree with Matt's premise?
I don't know, Scott. Do you remember back in June when my writing fell off a little bit? I wasn't putting in as many stories. The quality of the content was not so great. I attended a wedding as well.
That's why.
So I think that we're starting to see a trend here that if you go to a wedding or have any type of personal life whatsoever,
that's the reason
your professional life falls to shambles.
Yeah.
Right. Like, what if you went to dinner versus going to a wedding? Well, he was out Friday night at dinner, but he's taking a picture at a wedding. It's the same freaking thing.
I don't get it. I know a lot of people will immediately point to, well, I don't believe in this, but it's just another indicator of a high level of play. That the Pro Football Focus grades came out, and Brady was the 3rd highest graded player on offense.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he was not the issue. Like
Yeah,
he
he
hasn't
wasn't
been
perfect. I mean, he wasn't perfect, but
he
I
needs to
mean,
be better. But to say
Yeah.
that they lost the game because of Tom Brady and Tom Brady only is just silly.
Totally agree.
It's just not that.
Warwell55, thanks for the super chat. We appreciate that. Thanks, Scott, for asking Todd pointed questions. I try not to do the softball thing, but today we really needed to get drilled down on a couple things, and we did.
Yeah, Todd Bowles absolutely got grilled today, but as we said earlier, like he absolutely should have, because this team again should be way better than 3-3 right now. They look more like a 2-4 football team, and you know what? When you don't win, you have to answer these questions. So
Yeah.
you know, I wouldn't say that Bowles went through the ringer, but he was definitely.
We have a couple Bowles clips. Here's one
Yes.
$5 super chat from Leo. Then let's play some of those clips, Matt.
Yeah.
I don't know why you guys are gloom and doom on 3-3. Have you seen the NFL this season? Bucs didn't get the NFC East schedule. We got a tough schedule. That's true. I will say this: if you look at the 3 games, these were the 3 winnable games, right? Atlanta, Pittsburgh, and then Carolina. And if you had to lose one of them, this would be the game that you'd want to lose, because it's the AFC opponents. It's not a divisional opponent like Atlanta or Carolina. It's not even an NFC opponent like Dallas in week 1. So I'm not saying that to forgive the loss. I'm just saying accept it for what it is, a bad loss to an AFC team. And it's not as potent or deadly as losing to Atlanta or Carolina. Matter of fact, if the Buccaneers do win on Sunday, and by God, for y'all's sake, I hope they do, they'll be 3-0 in the division. And the pathway to the playoffs, as we've seen, can be winning the division. The Buccaneers can actually do that. They're allowed to in the NFC South. They did that last year. The Saints are no longer the exclusive occupant of the NFC South throne, and the Buccaneers are the current NFC South kings. And if they go 3-0 with a win at Carolina, they're going to be in the driver's seat. And I'll tell you what, it might come down to that season finale at Atlanta. That might be one hell of a game, because the Falcons surprised everybody with the win over the 49ers yesterday.
Undefeated against the spread.
Yeah, so. But the NFC is a little wide open, much more wide open than the AFC is. I think the AFC's got the better teams, but you've got teams like the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Vikings. Those are some pretty good teams, and a lot of teams that people, NFL prognosticators, thought would be kind of leading the pack. Tampa Bay, Green Bay, the LA Rams, defending Super Bowl champs, are struggling right now. So it's a long season, a lot of football ahead. Press the panic button next week if they lose in Carolina.
Oh, gosh.
Let's get to some. Yeah. Especially, I mean, Carolina, they just traded Robbie Anderson, who like kind of pulled an Antonio Brown. Not exactly the same, because he kept his uniform on, but obviously that's a big thing. Let's get to some of the videos from Todd Bowles. This first one is a question from who is this? Scott Reynolds of PewterReport.com. Asked Todd.
That might be me.
Yeah.
Might be.
Asked Todd if he was satisfied, happy, dissatisfied with the play calling of offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich.
When you're getting on the offensive side of the ball from Byron Leftwich.
I'm dissatisfied with a lot of things. You know, winning is number one. It's not about the play calling. It's all inclusive. You know, players have to execute what the coaches call, and coaches have to make sure that the player's in the right position to call them. So we don't throw blame anywhere. It's all inclusive. It's offense, defense, and special teams when we have a bad game. So it's not even about play calling. It's just about team.
Said there, for those that maybe missed it, he said, I'm dissatisfied with a lot of things. Winning is number one. It's not about the play calling. It's all inclusive. So putting the blame on everyone. Players have to execute what the coaches call, and coaches have to make sure that players are in the right position to call it. We don't throw blame anywhere. It's all inclusive. It's offense, defense, special teams when we have a bad game. It's not even about play calling. It's just about the team. So kind of deflecting there from Byron Leftwich, but he had a couple of different answers where he kind of like brought it back on the coaches. So it was almost like similar to the Fantasyland thing yesterday when he brought the Fantasyland up on his own accord and then later was like, nah, it's just a comment. I'm talking about in generalities.
I thought it was really interesting the order with which he spoke when answering your question, Scott. So he said the players have to execute. And then he goes, the coaches have to put them in the best position to do so.
Yeah.
When you put together a game plan, it's in the inverse, right?
Yeah.
The coaches have to put them in the best position to execute, and then they have to execute. And I just thought that was so. I don't know if it was conscious.
You're right, because the old coaching phrase is alignment and assignment, right? You got to line up in the correct alignment, right? And then you got to execute the assignment. So that's great observation there by you, Josh.
Bowles was asked a couple of times as well about switching Luke Goedeke, making changes to the offensive line. So he kind of answered like a similar question. So we'll play both of those right now.
Lack of throwing the ball down the field, much whatever it is, protection. I mean, is there any consideration to whether it's Luke Goedeke or changing anybody in there?
Well, we got the guys we got, and we're happy with them. We just have to be better play-wise. You know, we got to execute better. It's always a guy here and a guy there, whether it's Luke or somebody else on the offensive line, or a ball outside. We miss a block here and there, or somebody swims us and gets by, and it makes it look worse than it is. And it's a different guy every play. You know, we got to be more detailed as coaches. We got to be more better execution-wise as players. It's a group effort. We got to change some things from a offensive scheme standpoint. We'll do that. If we have to do something from a player standpoint, we'll take a look at that as well. So we're trying to find the best solution, how we can get better in those areas.
Josh, I see you shaking your head there. I want to get your thoughts on that, but we'll play the second video here. This is Scott asking Todd Bowles about how much he's considering Brandon Walton and Nick Leverett, who we talked about earlier.
Walton, putting somebody in there that can maybe provide a little bit of a spark at that position, and maybe allow him to take a breather and maybe see things from the sidelines to help his development.
We look at that every week with everybody, not just Luke. I think he's not going to face any less competition. There are going to be Pro Bowlers every week, so it's not just going to be 4 weeks. It's going to be 16 weeks, and he understands that. The things he's getting better at, we see the improvement. Can he get a lot better? Yes, he can get a lot better, but we're happy with the things that he's doing. He's given up a few plays here and there, but I wouldn't single him out to be replaced, so to speak. There are other guys that we know can play and do certain things, and we look at that every week where we find people to put in a game plan on all sides of the ball. So we'll try to keep looking at that, and we'll try to monitor that, and we'll plug in where needed, but we got to help him a little bit too.
Has he made mistakes? Yeah, but we're going to play him anyway. Josh, please let us know why you were shaking your head so emphatically during these videos.
I take issue with both of his answers. The first one, okay, if you're going to say it's a different guy every play, let's be honest. It's Luke, and then it's a different guy, and then it's Luke, and then it's a different guy, and then it's Luke, and then it's a different guy. And when you add all of that up, 50% of the time, it's Luke. And every other guy on that team, it's 0% Tristan Wirfs, it's 50% Luke, and then the other 50% maybe divided up between Shaq Mason, Robert Hainsey, and Donovan Smith. So you can say it's a different guy every other play to try and save this dude, but every other play it's him. And then with his second one, like, all right, if you want to take the Pro Bowl if you want to say he's facing a Pro Bowler every week, then you're really taking the context of the Pro Bowl. Like, all these guys in the Super Bowl, they're not allowed to play the Pro Bowl. So then you've got other guys who are invited who weren't really Pro Bowlers, but then some of them opt out for medical reasons. So then you got more. And
everyone's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, half the league is now a Pro Bowler. But he's not going to face a Pro Bowler every week. He's not going to face an All-Pro every week. He has had a rough stretch. But as we kind of talked about at the top here, it should get a little bit better over these next 5 weeks than it was the first 6 weeks. Yeah. Although you do have an Aaron Donald right in the middle there, which is whoo, buddy. So I take issue with both of his answers. Like, I get it. If I'm playing for Bowles, like, I love those answers because he's going to address this behind the scenes. He's not going to air the laundry out in the media. But from a media perspective, that's BS.
Yeah.
That's where you kind of miss Bruce Arians, because Bruce would be like, yeah, this guy's played terrible. Like, he needs to play better. But, a little different philosophy.
Right.
I tell you, speaking of Bruce Arians, right, and there's, I've entertained the thought, right, of who's the best play caller at One Buccaneer Place? It's Byron Leftwich? No, it's not. It's Bruce Arians.
Nope.
Bruce Arians is the guy, and he's retired. And my whole thing is if I'm Todd Bowles, right? I'm not loyal to every single coach on this staff, maybe the same way that Bruce Arians is. Bruce Arians is kind of a father figure who coached Todd Bowles back in college, right? You know what I'm saying? And he coached Byron Leftwich in Pittsburgh. So the connections between Bruce Arians and his coaches are deeper than they are with Todd Bowles in these coaches. And I don't think that there is the brotherhood family aspect, the utmost loyalty where Bruce is just not going to fire any of his assistants because they're like family. I don't think that's the case with Todd Bowles, nor should it be. If someone's not doing their job, they need to go. And I'm just of the opinion now more than ever that Byron Leftwich is overrated and that he's being exposed, and that Byron Leftwich is really benefiting from the likes of having 3 Pro Bowl offensive linemen during the last couple of years: Marpet, Jensen, Wirfs, a Hall of Fame quarterback, a Hall of Fame tight end, and Gronkowski, a Hall of Fame wide receiver, Mike Evans, a Hall of Fame caliber player, right, in Antonio Brown, even though he's a jackass, and then 1,000-yard, $20 million wide receiver in Chris Godwin, right? Now he has half of that grouping, right? And all of a sudden the points drop from 30 points per game to 20 points per game because he doesn't have all of the toys to play with. Now he's got half of that, and the product is not nearly as good. And so I think to compensate for the lack of talent, that's where the play calling, the scheming comes into play. And instead we're getting predictability, lack of imagination, lack of creativity. And it's kind of easy to see when you see like a team like Kansas City, right, who didn't even have Tyreek Hill anymore, right?
Right.
I mean,
and Travis Kelce still scores 5 touchdowns a game in primetime and things like that. You know, like they
and yet you can only get Mike Evans the ball 4 times. Come on.
And the ball
it's negligent.
Travis Kelce, you know, it is negligent because, you know, like Juju Smith-Schuster was talented a couple of years ago. He's not the same receiver he once was. That's clearly a downgrade from Tyreek Hill. Valdez Scantling, you know, it's the same thing. USF alum, you know, like these are complete drop-offs from what Kansas City had. And yet Travis Kelce is still dominating the game. It's the same thing for the Bucs with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I don't understand, especially for Mike Evans in that last game. I don't understand why they couldn't get him the ball more.
I think that's scheme in general, not necessarily play calling. So, you know, a lot of things with this Arians scheme, like it or love it, sets Mike up on a single side in terms of like a 3-by-1. So you got 3 offensive weapons to the right and then Evans to the left. And the play call is almost always designed for one of the guys on the 3 side, right? And the only way Mike would get the ball is if Brady walks up to the line, likes what he sees pre-snap on Evans's side, and then he checks to, okay, Evans is going to be my one on this. And so that makes it very easy for a defense, if you stick to those roles, makes it very easy for a defense to roll coverage that way, make it to something where Brady doesn't like it. And so he's going away from Evans. So you can, as a defense, take Mike Evans out of the game plan quite a bit unless there's an adjustment and you start running Mike Evans on the scheme side, right? Where you put him over in, you know, some of those 3 sets. And that's what I'd like to see. You know, if this is going to be the scheme, but we've got to get Mike Evans the ball, you got to take him out of the X and you got to put him into some other roles. I'm not saying every single play, but imagine Scotty on that one side, and then you've got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin set up on the scheme side. Yep. Now you're putting that defense into a lot more of a predicament, okay? Yep. Because you can either roll that coverage back over to the scheme side. Now you've got Scotty Miller one-on-one. He can try and do what he does best. Or you've got to contend with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on the same side of the field. And some of the biggest plays that the Bucs hit were with Evans and Godwin on the same side.
Yeah.
So that's where I think some of those adjustments need to be made.
Well, yeah, and you say adjustments. That was going to be my next point. Is I haven't seen anything when something doesn't work, right? And it's obvious it's not working, right? Usually it's a 3 and out, or the drive stalls after getting one first down, et cetera, where you're trying to run the ball and you just can't. You're banging. You're wasting downs essentially. I don't see anything wildly different. I don't see the pendulum swinging in an obvious adjustment type fashion. They're zigging, so we're going to zag. I don't see the zag.
Right.
When the defense is zigging, I think they're just zigging right along with the defense. And therefore it makes every single play. And Brady kind of alluded to this too. He said every play was a challenge. There's nothing easy, right? And that's what I'm saying when it comes to the lack of adjustments, right? A lack of whether it's second half adjustments or adjusting on the fly. I just don't see anything. It's like the Bucs are just going to do what they're going to do and hope it works. And the other thing is the plays that do work. I know that Bruce Arians has this mantra of, well, you can't call the same play twice because defenses are too smart. That's bullshit. It's bullshit. I mean,
they
it's
do
like
it in the run game.
Yeah, of course they do. They do it too much in the run game. But my thing is try it again. Let's see if the defense can stop you before you just give up. Hey, that's a 20-yard gain to Evans. Okay, well, let's not go back to that play. It worked before. You fooled them, or you had a successful play for some reason, right? Try it again. I'm not saying on the next play, but go back to it. See if that still works.
Just do it from a different alignment or formation.
Yes.
Yeah, as you said, it hasn't been easy to gain a yard for the Bucs offense. Things have not come easy this season. You especially saw it on Sunday. But if you're having a Pirate Republic beer, you're living pretty easy. And of course, Pirate Republic is the official beer of PewterReport.com. They're based in the Nassau, Bahamas, and they are now invading Florida just in time for football season. And beer brings people together to celebrate life. That means celebrating life in the spirit of the original Pirate Code, which, of course, is a sense of belonging. Pirate Republic is a community of people living life on their terms. The Long John Pilsner is perfect for tailgating or having fun at the beach in the Florida sun. Personally, it's my favorite out of the group. The Take No Quarter is the best IPA you'll drink. Or you could drop an orange slice in the golden haze of piracy Belgian wit beer and enjoy that pirate life. Pirate Republic beer is available at participating retailers like Total Wine and More, Lucan's Liquors, Party Liquors, and select ABC liquor stores in the greater Tampa Bay area and is expanding across the state of Florida. I go to ABC Liquor when I pick up my Pirate Republic. Live life on your terms and drink like a pirate with Pirate Republic beer. And you see all three cans on the screen there. The Long John Pilsner in red, the Take No Quarter IPA in green, and the Golden Haze of Piracy Belgian Wit in the yellow. All fantastic flavors. Make sure you check them out soon. Pirate Republic. Act like a pirate.
JC's going to be up, and I'm meeting him in Charlotte this weekend, and I'm hoping he can find a way to bring me some Pirate Republic beer. We're going to make it a weekend.
Yeah, we'll make that happen.
Yeah.
We'll make that happen. The thing is, I'm not even an IPA guy. I don't like IPAs. I don't like the hoppiness, but the Take No Quarter IPA, I've actually out. I've got to get some more Pirate Republic, but I'm actually jonesing for that. I've never wanted an IPA before, but I've really grown fond of that one. I don't really like IPAs. I've kind of like tried it, and I'm like, okay, maybe I like IPAs now. No, I don't. I just like that one. Take No Quarter IPA is really good, but I'm jonesing for that. All I've got is these empty Long John Pilsners that I was having last night during my meltdown on this podcast. So
you kept it together.
Yeah. Thanks to the alcohol content of Pirate Republic. 4.5% of mellowness.
Let's get to a couple more of the comments by Todd Bowles today when speaking to him. He did have an update on Cam Brate, which is good. Well, I mean, he has a sprained neck, which is not good, but in the grand scheme of
things,
could have been
worse.
Could have been way worse. He has all his extremities, which is good. There's no neurological issues with him, which is really important. Bowles had a really good answer, or I thought it was good. He was asked about how does this team get better at situational football? You know, struggled in short yardage. We talked about that. The defense couldn't get off the field on third down. They struggled in the red zone. So I'll just read off what Bowles said here. He said, I think we take them one at a time. Red zone, we get down there. We had the ball down there several times. Either we get a false start or we get a penalty that pushes us back, or we miss a route here and there, or we miss a block here and there. Like I said, it's different guys. It's the freakiest thing that we do in practice. It doesn't matter if it doesn't carry over into Sunday. Short yard is another topic. We got better at offensively. Especially, we got to find a way to get 1 yard. He said that before, so it's very frustrating. That's a trending theme. We got to understand what we're doing to get 1 yard. Then it becomes a toughness thing to get that yard. Defensively, third and longs have got to stop because you know where the ball is going. We understand what's coming, and we did not make plays to get off the field to give the offense a chance to get the ball back and win the ball game. These are things we practice every day. We'll continue to practice. We harp on them. We stress them. We actually did well during the week. We did not do well during the games. It's got to transfer over. I think we need to change as coaches. We have to change and not be big-headed enough to change defensively, offensively, or special teams. Player-wise, they have to understand that. They have to get better at it and execute. I like the line he said about like being big-headed, not being too big-headed, because that kind of goes into the fantasy land thing that he talks about, that people just kind of expect, oh, well, we won the Super Bowl, so if we just show up on Sunday, we should go out there and win. Thought it was, I don't know. I like that quote by him. That's really all I got to say.
Yeah, I like it. I like this comment by Harvinder here. Was there anything positive about this game apart from it being over and Brady not getting injured?
Yes.
Ryan Suckup, MVP.
Ryan Suckup. Yeah.
Yep. I'm at the risk of having the Bucs fandom get mad at me.
Uh-oh.
I saw some creativity from Byron Leftwich on the second, I want to say it was the second drive of the game. I think it's where they ended up with a field goal. I saw some creativity in the run game. So some double pulls out of pistol and some 20 personnel.
Yep.
There was a little bit of an evolution in the Bucs run game, and the Bucs run game was a little bit better than it had been over the previous few weeks. So I will say that that's a positive. And if they know where to put those runs in and when to call those runs, that added creativity can create some better layers that can help this offense finally get off the schneid. So I would say that was a positive that came out of the game. So, and the continued development of Cade Otton.
That was a hell of a catch by Otton. And you know what? That was a tight window throw. I thought the most telling thing about that play was twofold. Number one, that Brady has enough confidence in Otton to actually take that shot, because that defender was draped all over Otton. You could not have had better ball placement from Brady on that throw. It was absolutely amazing. And for Otton, who's a big dude, to go down there and make that dirty, grimy catch right there on the ground, that was something, right? That's a great observation by you, Josh, because Otton, I thought I'd like to see more of that. I think he's capable of more of that. It's just the plays are so few and far between, right? There was that 20-yard pass to Mike Evans, right? There was the 28-yard pass to Chris Godwin. There's the 17-yard pass to Cade Otton. But like, there should be one of those plays on every drive, right?
Yeah.
And strung together. A few of them.
That's what I'm saying.
Together. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like, where are those plays?
The Bucs used to do that all the time. I remember, because I would be doing our like Twitter as the game's going on. It's like 15-yard reception to Chris Godwin, 35-yard reception to Mike Evans, 15-yard throw to Leonard Fournette, first and goal for the 5-yard line touchdown. I'm not even done tweeting out like the first reception that Chris Godwin made. That was on like a regular basis.
Yes.
But we haven't seen that this year.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to be one of those guys that says, okay, well, fire Leftwich, and then not come up with.
I think it's early for that.
I think it's early for that too. But I guess what my premonition is I don't think the offense is going to get any better. I just don't. I don't think it's going to get better. I think that it's going to be a struggle to score 20 points per game most weeks, and I don't see it getting better. And I think Leftwich is kind of full of it when he says stuff like, I see things you guys don't see. Little improvements, here and there. And I don't see it. I mean, it's certainly not showing up on Sunday. Maybe that was the most telling thing that Bowles said was, we're having really good practices, but it's not carrying over to the game. And honestly, you don't get any points in practice. They don't count, right? And I've talked to plenty of coaches and been in plenty of press conferences where the team has shit practices all week and then shows up and just lights it up. And you ask the coach, whether it was Cutter, whether it was Raheem, whether it was Arians, whatever, wow, did you see this coming, coach? No, actually, we practiced like crap this week. I didn't see it coming, And then you have those things where, they get blown out or they don't perform well, whatever. Coach, did you see this coming to practice? No, we had great practices all week. I did not see this coming. So for whatever reason, it's not translating to Sunday. And that's really hard to kind of put your finger on, because that is coaching. It is also the players. I agree with Lenny Williams here. The offense doesn't scheme guys open. I do agree with that. It's hard for guys to get open and win one-on-ones in this offense. And I think that's part of the problem. But again, back to my point, Kevin Garver, wide receivers coach, I'm going to say if Leftwich is gone at some point this season, he's the most logical guy. Arians has thought highly of him. The other guy that Arians has talked about in the past is Thaddeus Lewis, the assistant receivers coach. I think Garver probably gets a first crack at it, before him. But I'm just convinced to the point where, remember when Johnny Manziel got the Heisman, right? And then everyone was kind of thinking, well, was it really Manziel or was it Mike Evans?
Yeah.
Right. Like, who made who? And quickly in the NFL, we found out it was Mike Evans that made Johnny Manziel. Quickly,
Right.
that was debunked, and we figured that out. It's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes that have made this a 30-point per offense type situation. And I think Bruce Arians could do a better job calling plays because he's got way more experience at it, way more success at it, way more years doing it. But I don't see the ingenuity, the creativity, the imagination, the adjustments from Byron Leftwich that gives me a lot of hope that it's not going to get better. I think the only way this thing gets better is if Julio Jones gets healthy and becomes a factor and helps the passing game. I'm just saying, if.
Yeah.
And if Ryan Jensen comes back, now you have an option. Maybe you move Hainsey to left guard and you play him over Luke Goedeke. Outside of those two things happening, or some kind of unforeseen trade, I just don't know that it gets better this year.
I'm going to take the other side of that, Scott.
Please.
I think that it will get better. If we've seen over the last couple of years, there's a very specific time frame we can point to where the offense seems to kick it into gear, and that's typically after a bye week when they self-scout, even though they say they don't self-scout or they're constantly self-scouting.
Yeah.
But they come out of a bye, and all of a sudden the points go up. So the Bucs kind of have two opportunities for that. So they've got a Thursday night game against Baltimore, and then you've got a mini bye, which is probably a good thing considering their next opponent after that is the Rams, who have had their number quite a bit.
Yep.
And then after the Rams, they go to Germany and they battle the surprisingly decent Seattle Seahawks.
The fighting Geno Smiths.
Exactly. And then there's a bye week after that. So I think those prove to be a couple of opportunities where they can do the thing they claim to do every week, but don't seem to ever adjust off of. Yeah. And they can get the ship righted. So
they're getting close, Josh. They're getting close.
Yeah.
That's what they keep telling us. They're getting close. Well,
slowly but surely, for sure. Scott, you're saying you don't feel good about this offense, but you physically have felt pretty good once you started taking age rejuvenation.
As we age, our hormones decrease, both for men and women.
I was tired all the time, had no sex drive.
I was groggy.
I felt like I was 80 years old because everything hurt.
I came to age rejuvenation because I was tired all the time.
Bioidentical hormones has really made such an impact in people's lives.
I actually enjoy shopping now.
Got all my energy back.
Mind is sharp.
I feel like I'm 18 again.
It was perfect for me.
Get with age rejuvenation. Do it now. Don't wait.
Call Age Rejuvenation today.
I don't believe that lady. I don't believe that she actually likes shopping now. I think she's always liked shopping, I just think she has more energy. She can go for maybe 5 hours at the mall rather than 4.
Yeah.
But I think that's the difference. That's the age rejuvenation difference, whether you get an extra hour in the mall when you're older. Listen, guys, if you want to feel better, go to Age Rejuvenation. Lose weight, feel great, have better sex. You might have seen Age Rejuvenation as the new sponsor for my SR's Fab 5 column on pewterreport.com. And they're also the presenting sponsor of the Celsius Pewter Tailgate Show live every week at Walk-Ons. Well, I'm a new Age Rejuvenation customer myself, just like John Gilmore, former Bucs tight end. Thankfully, I don't have any issues in the bedroom, but I turned 40 this year back in April, and energy became a problem. Actually, it didn't even happen when I was 50. I've been feeling this downward slope for years now, probably since I was about 45. It turns out I have low testosterone, and I'm just like most men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. It just happens naturally, fellas. The testosterone naturally decreases as we get older. Low testosterone can affect everything from weight loss. I'm actually down a couple pounds now because I've got more testosterone and my metabolism is higher, to energy. And I don't have to have that second Celsius every day. But now there's a way to fight it. And that's what I did with the testosterone therapy at Age Rejuvenation. I have more energy. Visit agerejuvenation.com. Sign up for that free hormone consultation where they'll do a blood panel and you can have a consultation and see what levels you have and see if Age Rejuvenation can help you. I bet you they can. There's 5 Tampa Bay area locations to serve you. Lose weight, feel great with Age Rejuvenation. Don't wait. Do it now.
Before we get out of here, Josh, since we have you on the show, we got to bring it up. I was fighting for our guy Jalen Darden on the game day stream, and then he went out, and just everything went to crap in the return game.
Yeah.
Do you have any more optimism, or should the Bucs move on from Darden as a returner? You know, like maybe throw in Tompkins or Geiger or Scotty.
If they're going to give Goedeke 6 games, I think Darden can have one bad one. You know, I think everybody has a bad game. He's had 5 solid to better games, and he's had 1 bad game. There are very few players who can go a full 17 game season and have a good, have good games every single game. So I'm willing to give him a bad game. You and I have, gotten into this special teams kind of conversation quite a bit, and somehow I've turned into a special teams aficionado. So I think the more likely guy that we need.
I mean, you created your own punting stat.
Yeah, you've got a punter fetish, Josh.
I do, and unfortunately, the Bucs have a substandard. What's the word I'm looking for? Muse. At least to start the season. Like Marta had yet again another just not great game. So 4th round draft pick. That's a high investment for that position. Yeah. And to add, it seems like everything about the Bucs this year, it's kind of like insult to injury. Yeah. Bradley Pinion's having a fantastic season. Yeah. So go figure there.
Exactly. We appreciate all the super chats we got last night and also today. Craig Kurtzman with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you. If Marcus Arroyo, former Bucs offensive coordinator back in the day, can call a fade to Mike Evans, why can't Byron Leftwich? Also, the defense, when money is on the line, just folds. Now, Jake Camarada is a wasted pick with his numbers. So, yeah, hard to argue that point. Listen, to me, Mike Evans and Tom Brady have a special connection. And when they get down to the red zone, when Byron Leftwich doesn't dial up at least one fade to Mike, that's criminal negligence to me, because it's a play that usually works. It's worth trying. And listen, Suckup's money, he's going to get you 3. And Brady's not going to put the ball in harm's way. Tom Brady is one of the best red zone throwers because he doesn't throw interceptions. So why not trust the Brady to Evans fade in the end zone? It's baffling. It's just baffling.
Yeah, in general, I don't really like the fade pass, but if it's Tom Brady and Mike Evans, then yes, do the fade pass. Or if you have one of the best receivers in the game, go for it. In general, I don't like it. For the Bucs, it's worked. It's proven it's worked. So
And the statistics back you up, Matt. That's the thing is statistically a goal line fade is a low percentage.
Mina Kimes hates it. I think Mina
and she's all about the stats on that type of stuff. And all of the stats point to across the NFL, it's a bad play, except Tom Brady to Mike Evans, where it works, I think, like 63% of the time, which is like 25% better than the rest of the league, which is amazing. Yeah. So you're absolutely right, Scott. That is a special connection on that particular play.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate all the special Bucs fans who have hung in there with this team over the last 24 hours. Last night's Pewter Report post-game podcast and also today's. It was fun doing roll call. We, let's see, I saw Netherlands, Canada, Australia. There was a couple of other cool countries too. We love the Florida folks too. Scott City,
from your
Kansas.
neck of the way.
Yeah, Scott City, Kansas, Leawood, Kansas, some Midwesterners out there. So that was fun to see. But we're going to be back with more fun on Wednesday. I really think today's show was the best podcast we've ever done. Josh, I think you contributed a lot to that. So hats off to you. We're going to try to top it on Wednesday. We're going to have our Bucs versus Panthers preview. By God,
what's left of the Panthers? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we said the same thing with the Steelers in their banged up secondary, right? So you can't overlook the scrappy Panthers. But we'll be back on Wednesday with another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. So for Matt Matera and Josh Capo, I'm Scott Reynolds saying thanks for watching another episode of the